everyone, and welcome back to All About Steph 1 with me, Steph. I'm back. It's been a while since I've uploaded on this channel, but I have good reason, and that is what I'm going to get into in this video today. But before I do, I would like to shout out my social medias, because all of my exciting adventures that I've been on have been posted on there rather than on YouTube. So if you want to know what I've been getting up to and what I will be getting up to in the future, make sure you go and follow me right now. They are somewhere down here. I'm going to put them in. But that aside, we're going to get into this video, and you guys on YouTube will know me as a content creator, but outside of YouTube, I am obviously still at university, but I'm also working as a presenter. I signed with a loudspeaker agency at the beginning of 2021, and there have been a couple of opportunities that kind of came my way at the beginning that never ended up happening because of COVID, so you guys didn't really hear much about it on the YouTube channel. But then everything kind of started kicking off in October when I got the esports gig. And then shortly after that, it was confirmed by my agents in Formula 1 that I would work with them for the Brazilian Grand Prix and the Qatar Grand Prix, which blew my mind. So the long and short of it is that Formula 1 hired me to present for Track TV, which is all of the stuff that goes on the tracks when the racing isn't being shown. So for Brazil and Qatar, I ended up doing some pre-race analysis, some post-race analysis, some interviews. I was interviewing Felipe Massa, Dani Kvyat, Cal Colette. I actually spoke to him as well. I spoke to him in Portuguese, spoke to Felipe Massa in Portuguese, and basically everything that I did in Brazil was in Portuguese. I was not only learning a brand new job, but I was doing it in another language, which was so challenging, but it was also so rewarding because I think I did a really good job. Like I said, all of the stuff that I did was in Portuguese, apart from the interview that I did with McLaren and the interview that I did with Ferrari, and when I was speaking to Dani Kvyat as well. I didn't know if he spoke Portuguese. It's a language he potentially does speak, but I have no idea. I spoke to him in English, but I just dropped the fact that I spoke to both McLaren boys and both Ferrari boys, so we're going to talk a little bit about my interviews, which was super exciting. I spoke to Daniel and Lando first, and before the interview, a couple of minutes before it was scheduled to start, Daniel came over and we had a little chat. He was like, "I'm Daniel," and I was like, "I'm Steph," and I was like, "Of course I know who you are," but I kind of was like, "Oh, I've not seen you around these ends before," and he was like, "Oh no, I'm new here." And we just had a little bit of banter, and then Lando came over and it was Lando's birthday, so I said happy birthday, and they complimented my shoes, which were like white with a bit of with like a strip of silver sparkles on, and I had one scuff on them, and Lando pointed it out, and I was like, "Oh no, I'll do better." And then we got on with the interview. Some of you guys were asking whether you would be able to watch it, whether you'd be able to see this footage. Unfortunately not, because it is property of FOM and it just goes out around the track, hence Track TV. So I can't get that footage to you, but I can tell you that both of the boys were really engaged. They enjoyed it, I think they did, but the relationship, the vibes were good. They both seemed in really good moods, so it was a really enjoyable interview. And then we went straight over to the Ferrari garage, and I spoke to Charles and Carlos, who were very lovely. And yeah, it was basically the same. They were both really polite, both really engaged in the interview. It was super easy for me because I didn't have to kind of force anything out of them. They willingly were enjoying themselves, and they were willingly answering questions, and kind of I didn't have to force anything out of them, which makes my job as the interviewer and the presenter kind of a lot easier. Then on Saturday, I got to go onto the grid for the sprint race, or before the sprint race. And this was my first time on the Formula 1 grid. If you've watched my channel, you'll know that I was on the Formula E grid at the London Prix, which was very surreal. But let me tell you, Formula 1 is a hell of a lot bigger. So I went on the grid to do a little piece, and we kind of started with some fans, and we were kind of towards the back of the grid because obviously Lewis had been disqualified from qualifying the previous day. So for sprint qualifying, he was at the back, and we were kind of doing a piece around him. So we were right at the back of the grid, really close to some fans. Felipe Massa was not scheduled to be speaking with me, but the fans were chanting his name. We got him to come in, and I was doing all of my stuff in Portuguese, and I started conversing with him, and then the cars started coming from, they'd done their installation lap, and they were coming onto the grid, and Kimi was first on the scene, and we were talking about him and talking about his retirement, and it was just really good, and it was all on the spot because I had a plan of kind of what I was going to speak about based on the drivers that were around me on the cars and the grid spots that I was at. And then Felipe Massa came in and it blew it out of the water, and I had to completely think on the spot, and I was like, "Felipe, you've raced with Kimi for a long time, like what do you make of his retirement and whatnot?" So that was such an experience. And then I kind of like stuck around on the grid a little bit after. Kim Illman took my picture which I will insert here. It just reminds me that I am making these moves and I'm going up the ladder, which is so great for me now that I've kind of chosen to focus on this as my career path. Anyway, moving on to the Sunday, super exciting race. Obviously, I did all of my reporting bits and bobs, and then I was kind of just like wandering around the paddock. A couple of you spotted me in the behind shots of Sky Sports, which is also very surreal. I saw the Sky Pad, which was awesome. And yeah, the race was fantastic. It's definitely not one I'm going to forget. It's the first Formula One race I've worked at. It was in Brazil, which I have been dying to go to for years. I was supposed to actually go to the 2020 Brazilian Grand Prix, as I was supposed to be on my year abroad in Brazil, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I was so incredibly blessed to be able to go to the Brazilian Grand Prix this year. And Interlagos is literally one of the most beautiful tracks ever. There was a spot, I don't know if you guys had seen the brand new Ayrton Senna mural that was done. Side note, the art in Brazil is incredible. On the sides of buildings and everything, so much art. Beautiful. I'm actually going to insert another couple of images around about talking about the art in Brazil, because fantastic. But anyway, next to this mural was the location of kind of the paddock, and I could see so far from there. So you could kind of see the final corner as well, which I didn't realize was banked, but you properly realize it when you're there. You can see that. You can see all of kind of the middle twisty corners. You got Laranjinha, Pico de Pato, you could see that one, and basically just that whole sequence of like twisty corners in Brazil. You can kind of see that whole part from where I was. The race, watching it, was just honestly brilliant, and definitely not one I'm going to forget. But then on to Qatar. Now, actually, before we get there, I want to share a funny story about the camera guys, because the team in Formula One were absolutely fantastic, and I had such a great time because I was kind of based in the camera garage, so all the camera guys were coming in and out, and they all thought from the beginning that I was Brazilian, that I was Portuguese, that I spoke Portuguese and didn't speak English, and so it was a little bit awkward, but kind of once they all figured out that yes, I'm a very English person, it was so great. Friendships blossomed. Big shout out to Joe and Raz, my camera guys, for this image that was taken in Qatar. It is a photo of me standing in front of the big screen interviewing Lewis Hamilton. So yeah, what a masterpiece. But anyway, time to talk about Qatar. So we got there on we left Brazil Monday afternoon and arrived in Qatar then quite early in the morning. It was around about 9 a.m. Straight to the pool, straight to the beach. I needed to work on my tan. It was so great as well, having those down days, because that's what allowed me to actually become friends with a lot of people, spend a lot more time with them, ask about them, because obviously none of us were working at that point, so it was good to have a couple of days. And what I got from the camera crew and everyone that was working as well is that it was really nice for them, because they'd already done Mexico, Brazil. They were a bit exhausted, so it was nice for them to have a couple of rest days while we were there. So Tuesday, Wednesday, I wasn't up to much, and then Thursday finally went into the paddock, started getting set up, started getting sorted. It was very warm. But this was a fabulous weekend. It was a lot easier because I was doing it all in English, and also I had the knowledge of kind of what my role entailed from Brazil the previous week. Another skill I did have to properly pick up in Qatar was listening on in my earpiece, should I say. When you're presenting in a loud paddock and you've got to listen to kind of like your timings and your cues from an earpiece, it's a real skill to master, and I've been doing it bit by bit in a few jobs that I've been doing, but this was the first time that I was truly tested, and it was really difficult, but I managed it. So when I was in Qatar, I interviewed both AlphaTauri boys, Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda, Franz Tost, AlphaTauri team principal, the Alpine boys, Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso. I also interviewed Oscar Piastri, and then the big guns. So I interviewed Valtteri Bottas first, and then Sir Lewis Hamilton himself, which was obviously a very big moment for me. Everyone was kind of like, oh my god, Lewis Hamilton. My mom especially was very much like, what the hell? I think she was freaking out a hell of a lot more than me, because again, I've got to maintain that professionalism. So she was freaking out. I was very calm. So at the beginning of the interview, he was like asking me how I was, and he was like, I love your hair, it's fantastic. And I was like, I could say the same to you. And he was like, I woke up like this. And I was like, yo, ditto. Literally same. That is the blessing of having braided hair. Or I think he had his hair in locks at the time. But yeah, Mercedes actually posted this picture of Lewis with the caption, always smiling or something. And I know that he was smiling at me, and I was like, that's so cool that they've posted this picture. I know this was during his interview. It was so nice that he was really, really engaged with it. And then he went and won the race, which was incredible to watch as well. All of these races that I've attended have been fantastic. I think I'm the secret charm. But inevitably, my journey with Formula One and my time in Brazil and Qatar came to an end, and I had to fly home. That week, I did esports as well, so I was still very, very busy. And then I came home, packed myself up, and was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to uni. Text came through, can you go to Saudi Arabia? I was like, yes. So actually, I did not work for FOM when I went to Saudi Arabia. I actually worked for another company who presented the fan zone and kind of did all of the things around that. And because Jeddah, obviously Saudi Arabia, is a brand new circuit, they really wanted to make it a big spectacle. It was a completely different job that required a completely different perspective than what I had just done in Brazil and Qatar with Formula One. There was a lot of interviewing with fans, quizzes with fans, interacting with them, and it was genuinely so nice to see. I must have interviewed over 30 nationalities. I did work out that 30 was the baseline, and I'm sure I'll probably be forgetting some. There are a lot of reasons as to why Saudi Arabia is not the favourite event on the calendar, and why there are a lot of calls for it to be written off the Formula One calendar. And I was apprehensive to go there as well, because it is a huge culture shock from what I am used to. But I really enjoyed my time there, and although I don't agree with some of the rules that are in place in Saudi Arabia, I genuinely cannot argue with how positive the people were and how lovely they were and how welcoming they were to every single person who came to visit. I can only hope that Formula One being there is going to continue to have positive impacts on the community of Jeddah and the wider community of Saudi Arabia, because honestly, the way that the locals reacted to this race being here and the way they reacted to everyone coming to their country was so lovely, and I felt so blessed to be at the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix with all of the fans and properly getting their perspective from the ground. It was genuinely, I don't think I've ever felt that kind of positivity and that kind of happiness and pride radiating from so many people around me, which was genuinely really lovely for me to experience. But then I got to watch the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix trackside, which was, words can't even explain. This was the race that I've been to this year that made me the most emotional, and I genuinely couldn't even tell you why. I was watching the podium and I was like, wow, this was special. And now going into Abu Dhabi, it's going to be level on points. Lewis and Max have both drove fantastically, and I will get into this in other videos, but for me, it just kind of all hit me, especially because at that point I didn't know if I was going to be in Abu Dhabi or not, which I'm clearly not. And so I was like, okay, this is the last time I'm going to watch these two drive in this 2021 season, and let me just enjoy it. I think a lot of people didn't actually react too well to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, like thinking that it wasn't actually so exciting of a race. But while I was there on the ground, I had no signal as well, so I had no idea what was going on. I just could see from the screens what was happening for the rest of the track. And then after the race is when I kind of figured out, oh, this was filled with drama. But for me, trackside, it was also filled with drama. I was almost glad that I had no signal and I couldn't figure anything out, because it allowed me to be purely immersed in the racing, which is, I think, what made me so emotional, because I was so close to the cars, and it was honestly such an amazing experience, such an intense race, and definitely one I'm not going to forget. I keep saying this, but I don't think I'm going to forget any of them. But now I've finished sharing all of my stories. I've been talking for quite a while, so I do apologise if this video has been long. But yes, I thought I'd give you a big fat update on what's going on in my life. For now, I'm going to be at esports next week for the final round of the Esports Pro Championship 2021. Hopefully, it will be a very exciting conclusion to that championship as well. If you guys have been a fan for a long time, you might have seen my videos last year. I do 3 tier lists after the season is over. 1 on driver performance, 1 on the trophies. This one I'm so excited for this year, because there's been some bangers. And also on the races, like rating which ones were the best and whatnot. So do bear in mind, I will be coming back to do those 3 tier list videos next week after Abu Dhabi has come to a close, after the season has come to a close. I do apologise that there has been a lack of content. It will very much from here on out be when I can create content, I will. Oh my god guys, I didn't even show you my new scratch map. I've managed to scratch everything off. Look, Brazil. I've finally been to South America, which is literally mental. Look at how big Saudi Arabia is. So big, so pink. Look, that's the second biggest place I've been to. Wow. And then also Qatar was here, but she's very, very tiny. But yeah, I finally got to go to all of these places, so I just wanted to show you my scratch map as well. Thank you all for your endless support. It's been absolutely incredible. A year and a half nearly of All About Steph 1. And look where I've come. Look how far I've come. It's been a blessing to be on this journey with you, and the only way is up. We're riding a roller coaster and it's not coming down just yet. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm going to finish it here. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, and if you are new and haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so that you are notified for all my future videos. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!